Check out these satellite images of the American countryside. As you can see, it's divided into squares. This is an odd thing that not many countries do. The story of how it came to happen is really interesting and says a lot about the USA. So, I decided to make a video essay about it. As research, I read this book, Liberty's Grid by Amir Alexander. He says the grid is largely the product of one guy, Thomas Jefferson, and his particular philosophical beliefs. So that was my angle. Go through the book, expand on the philosophy, work in a Nebula sponsorship, and Bob's your uncle. I had a whole script ready to shoot. There's just one problem. The book is wrong! At the last minute, I found something which blew my whole script apart and exposed the bias with which I was approaching this topic. I nearly made a fun, entertaining piece of misinformation. I want to talk about why, and what that says about the business of making video essays. So I'm going to go through this book, explain its arguments, and then reveal what it gets wrong. And let's start with that big question. Why is the United States on a grid? The year is 1783. The Revolutionary War has just ended, and the United States of America just became an independent nation, which it still is. At time of recording! At the time, the United States is just 13 colonies on the East Coast, so the new American government has to decide what they're going to do with all of the land that is over here. And so, obviously, we're going to allow the hundreds of distinct tribes of American Indians, with all of their unique cultures and languages, to continue living there, and we're going to build a new, harmonious society in which everyone can stand side by side, and I'm just kidding, we're going to colonize the shit out of it. And according to Amir Alexander, the logistics of how to do this come down to Thomas Jefferson, US founding father, author of the Declaration of Independence, future third president, and one of history's top Jeffersons. According to Alexander, gridding the United States was Jefferson's idea, and he had his own weird reasons. People sometimes think that putting the land on the grid was just more practical, but Alexander says no. So let's examine his arguments. The usual way of dividing up land was surveyors would go out there, map the best bits in whatever pattern nature happened to distribute them, and the result is a bunch of uniquely shaped plots, all oriented differently, with wild space in between. This is called a meets and bounds system. If you look at Virginia on the East Coast today, one of the original 13 colonies, the land isn't gridded because when the British colonized it, we used meets and bounds. But Jefferson wanted uniform plots, uniform sizes, all oriented to the points of the compass, covering the entire North American continent. And remember, they didn't have satellites or aeroplanes. If you want to draw a grid across the landscape, somebody's got to go out there with a length of chain and physically measure it out. If there's a swamp in the way, you got to go through the swamp. If there's a tree in the way, or 100